Welcome back, everyone. The Dane County Health and Human Needs Committee has voted to change its contract awarding process.
Now, the move comes after Channel 3000's content and assignment editor, Jason Cuevas, published an article on loopholes within that process, allowing human services to award contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to local groups without a full board vote. Jason joins us now to discuss the latest development. Now, for Jason, for viewers who don't know, explain the county's rules for awarding contracts and what was wrong with that process.
All right, so the big thing is the county has what's called major contracts, which is simply any contract of $100,000 or more, or a normal contract. A contract that's $100,000 or more needs a full vote by the county board in some form or another. What happened in this case was they took a contract that was well over, one for $397,000, one for $276,000, and then split them to be smaller to use the under major contract vote and not go the full county board.
Wow. Okay, so now there were two options the committee had to choose from to address this issue. What were they, and explain that part? So,
two ordinances were presented at the Health and Human Needs Committee last night. One was from Jeff Wigand and Maureen McCarville, who had publicly said they were going to introduce this. Now, unbeknownst until the agenda came out, Chair Patrick Miles, Heidi Wegleidner, and David Peterson made their own separate one, and these vary quite a bit. The first would strip any sort of special rules for human services, and they would have to be treated like a construction contract, any other contract. The second one more kind of tweaks things, although in my looking at it, it's kind of more talk than action. I don't think it actually gives any more oversight, and in some ways it appears to actually give the Human Services Director even more power.
Interesting.
And this wasn't all that happened last night. The committee also talked about the nominee for Human Services Director. What happened there?
Yes, they did approve John Schluter. One person voted against, which they said was not that they didn't like him, but the process. This has been widely criticized. The two previous nominees were black women. They had to make public appearances, meet the public, answer all these questions as part of the process. Schluter has not. He's not had to answer to the public in any way at all. This goes back to somewhat of a rift between Heidi Wegleitner, who torpedoed the last nominee, Amy Everett, and got her to resign after aggressive questioning. This upset County Executive Melissa Agard, who then made this nominee and kind of didn't go through the process that Wegleitner and Miles actually originated for this. So it's kind of a behind the scenes, we're not going to play it your way anymore kind of move.
Interesting. So why are we paying so much attention to human services?
Well, this is what I think people don't get. Human services is the biggest part of the county. It's by far the biggest
of the budget.
Place. It's got the most budget. As you know, it's been announced that there is a $31 million structural deficit for Dane County.
Right.
Human service, and I'm not saying it should be, it's just the first place to look. They have the biggest amount of money. Whoever gets the most money is going to be the first place people look. And because there has been some strange things with contracts, you know, people are wondering. It brings things up. They need to find some extra money. It's a reasonable place people would look.
It's some place to keep an eye on, and clearly there are some interesting things happening behind the scenes there.
There is, and I've talked to some elder statesmen, if you will, and they said it's funny because back in the day, no one wanted to be on the Human Services Committee. But these days, it's what everyone wants to be on. It's where the real money and the big contracts are actually handed out these days.
Wow. Well, Jason, thank you for all of your in-depth investigative reporting, and that we will continue, and we can see more of this where?
On channel3000.com. I have a story up right now. So.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, Jason, thank you.